Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
15-year-old Anthony Hudson was fatally shot at a birthday party in 2011 on July 23rd, and, like so many cases where the victim was black, this hardly went noticed.
What happened to Anthony Hudson? A case that is still unsolved and unsettling, that I really just don't understand. This case that could possibly be a cover-up by the police. 15-year-old Anthony Hudson was fatally shot at his birthday party in 2011 on July 23rd, and like many cases where the victim was black, this hardly went noticed. Anthony Hudson was gunned down only minutes away from his home. Anthony was rushed to the hospital. His mother, Chaz Rogers, tried to get medical records. After frustrating struggle to gain access to them, she did. She began to question the officer's narrative.
Anthony Hudson was a great kid. He was 15, and he was entering his junior year in high school, and just had a great personality, loved people, didn't see any wrong in most people, just an all-around great kid. He was the only child, so he loved people, just because he didn't have anyone. So on that day of July the 23rd, I let him go to a party, and the party assumingly gotten overcrowded, and police were called out, and I was to pick him up. When the police got there and dispersed the crowd at the party house, Anthony had rode with a gentleman, Craig White, to the party, and Craig had left. Anthony was still there, and he hadn't called me yet to pick him up, but I was waiting to about midnight at least, for him to pick him up. And when the party got dispersed, there were some shots that was fired. But shots were fired around 10, but that wasn't including Anthony. Two people had gotten into a fight, and there was maybe a couple blocks up from the party house. They had left and went to the hospital. When Anthony come out of the party house, they had heard, and this is hearsay, I'm reading the reports, they had heard that Anthony and the crowd was moving towards where the fight was. We don't know what happened there, but the shots had already been fired. So this is a separate incident that's about to come on the scene. So Anthony, around between 11 and 11:30, another shots was fired, and this is from the dash cam videos that I've seen a year and a half after the trial. That the officer said, "We have one down." And then there was a fight on back of the police squad car. And we don't, I do know who that was on the car. Somebody was fighting, saying something about Anthony being shot on the ground. Somebody was kind of like upset. On the dash cam videos, it also showed that the police officer who had once went into the party house, come out of the party house, got a radio call, said, "We have shots some shooting, and so he went through the homes to the next block where Anthony was, through the alley. That's when we heard the shots. That's when I heard the shots on the dash cam video. Now, do I know if it's an officer? I don't know that. But I do know if there's ammunition of an AK-47, shotgun gauge. There were other ammunitions that they had found there that supposedly all this was going on, and I'm sure the police officer had engaged in something um, to protect himself, if not protect others. So when they said someone is down, that officer was seen running back to his car, and he had a radio call in. His wife was in the car with him on an off-duty ride along, and she was saying, "Delta, Delta, where are you?" A code word that she needed help. And so he never was responding to her. Other officers are still trying to disperse the children out of the neighborhood. And finally, he runs back to the car. He's all out of breath, and he gets in the car, and she's saying in the passenger seat, "Well, why didn't you answer my call?" And he never would respond at that moment. He moved a little bit further up. Officer Griffin is, I think he's sergeant or something. He said, "What happened?" Because the officer that I'm talking about, James Scott, he was actually the first ones on the scene, and Officer Griffin was helping disperse the crowd out of the area. Therefore, when Officer Griffinson asked Scott what happened, he looked at him, and he looked like he's still out of breath. Something going on between him. He can't talk. And he said, "Well, I'm going to get in the car with you." And he said, "Take me to the scene," because he hadn't been to the scene of the crime where my son was lying in the middle of the street. And so he said, "Turn here." Scat said, "Turn here at this street." And then he said, "What happened?" The officer asked again in the car, "What happened?" And he said, I shot twice. Got closer to the body. I mean, to the body, and parked. And he got out the car and took Griffin on up there. When he come back to the car, he told his wife. His wife kept asking him, "Honey, why didn't you answer my call? I've been calling you. It was a fight on the car, this, and that." She was just going on about why he didn't respond to her, because she needed him. He finally answered her, and it's so muffled. She kind of like gagged in the car, and I don't know what exactly he told her, but whatever he told her, it wasn't pleasing, because she gagged. The crime scene evidence people came out, and she asked Officer Griffin, "Was this two incidents?" And he said no, in which it was two incidents, because there were shots fired at 10 o'clock, and then there were shots fired at 11 o'clock. Devon O'Brien Candler. He had come to the party to meet his brother, but he never did make it inside the party. So he was just around in the neighborhood. And he was a part of a gang setting. He heard that some of the friends had gotten into a fight. And so he was just kind of around in the area. When the shots began to fire, he said some Mississippi, somebody, he just gave out some fake name, that he told him what to do if something happens. And he said it wasn't his gun, but somebody handed him a gun, and he didn't know what type of gun it was. Got the interview. I got the whole interview. So if I'm misquoting some things, it's on the interview. So he actually um, admitted that he did it. to the Texas Rangers, but they let him go for several days, and they went and picked him up without parental consent, and they brought him back to the police department and didn't give him Miranda rights and this and that. So the police officer Smith told him that he was going to get him off on self-defense or something like that. That's what he told him in the interrogation room. I really don't know his full story just verbatim, but he never really accepted that he did it. But I think because they said they was going to get him off, he just went ahead and accepted the charges. And plus, they violated him by not doing the Miranda rights. So that could have been a technicality, and the whole case could have been thrown out. And then when I got the forensics, the bullet, the hospital taking the bullet out, and the bullet was taken out at the hospital and examined. But when it was examined, it wasn't examined by the forensics IFL. Lancaster Police Department took the bullet back to their lab and examined the bullet, and that bullet has never appeared in the court trial settings at all, at all, at all. So when the trial said it was a 357 revolver, and they told me and my family that was a 38 revolver that the boy had. So I've been questioning this bullet from day one. And only way you can determine the bullet is by the length, because the weight of it might be the same, but the length may not. Right. So I did everything that I could to get to that bullet, but the defendant, who is out of jail, out of prison right now, as of May, he's been released from prison.
This is not new. See, as a black teen growing up in the US or growing up in the hood, I feel way too familiar with cases like this. Now, I'm not trying to make the situation similarly about me, but I'm trying to point out a struggle that I've known since I was young, and the fear and the sadness of knowing that I could be potentially gunned down, not only by police, but by people I go to school with or people who are in my neighborhood. Like, these are things that I grew up being scared of, dreading, and to hear this case is devastating, as this case is unsolved, just like millions. There's so many other cases that are unsolved and that are crimes against black men.
What happened to Anthony Hudson? Why has the media been so quiet about this case?
So my question is, who was shooting? Because the first set of people had a fight and they left and went to the hospital. The dash cam I got the dash cam videos from the hospital that shows them going, that they were in the hospital at a certain time.
We need answers, and we are determined to have them. We will be following this case until Anthony Hudson has justice.